fucking fire.
Isn't it in Adelaide? All right. Well,
Are we on?
there's a bit more to say this week, I reckon. What do you think?
We can do what we did last week.
Someone
Very easy.
Someone actually messaged us today and said,
I thought we were the pre-show for their fun.
no, we're competing with them. But someone said on our Instagram DMs, they were like, well, we played 3 quarters, so you're going to do 3 minutes this week.
No, everyone loved what we did last week. We actually got good response.
Do you reckon we played 3 quarters?
Yeah, no, we did. We definitely played. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we get into the game, and before we bring you back in, do one of you want to explain what last week was about? Or do you want me to do it? Just
Everyone saw what it was about.
No, but why we did it? Because some people don't understand what the point of it was.
How can you not understand? We didn't want to talk about a shit game.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Fair enough.
Don't want to give it a bad rap.
Plain and simple.
He's been nowhere to start.
I'm scared of Jules today.
I could be anything tonight.
Yeah.
That's what worries me. I think you need to go a meter that way, Jules.
Oh, God.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It was clean. It was clinical. Like, we executed to perfection.
Now, I'd like to actually go into a few stats and I questioned Charlie about a month or so ago.
That is so frustrating as a fan. All you needed was an extra 2-3%.
On the podcast, you're a shit person. You're arrogant. You're obnoxious. I'm sick of it. And I reckon I've got 2 more episodes in me.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 147 of the Almost Blues Brothers podcast, powered in 2025 by Mavros Studios here in Preston, just off Bell Street, and part of the Blue Broad Media Network for another year. All right. A proper intro this week, not a quick one. Do you want to, firstly, welcome back.
Thank you. I was technically back for an episode last week.
It's been a while.
2 minutes.
Do you want to inform the viewers of your saga? Because there's a lot of people that have been very worried about you.
People have been, genuinely.
Very worried. Go. You can tell everyone
So,
what's going on.
Pretty much, I'll sum it up quickly. I had migraines and fevers, as you both know, for 2.5 weeks. I was in hospital for like a week and a half, and they were doing blood test after blood test. Just wouldn't the fever wouldn't go down, and then it ended up being a viral infection that they think I got from either my son or something, or some infant.
Do you want to maybe expand on that?
Yeah, maybe when I took him swimming or something. But yeah, so it's actually like a 6-week viral infection, but I'm better now, or getting better.
So
definitely.
the virus you can get from kids' saliva, is that right? And you went swimming with
or like stool or something.
Or stool.
Yeah.
But you went swimming at a public pool with Ale as part
And
of
they reckon maybe I caught on the change table or something. There was just leftover shit.
How do you define stool? Like, what's the
Shit.
What on earth? Are you actually all right tonight?
I knew what it was.
Anyway,
I'm obviously, they were thinking it was all like, they were talking about meningitis and like blood conditions and stuff, but I'm here, I'm back.
You're back to almost 100%, I would say.
Yeah,
That's the
definitely.
best. That's the best I've
I just can't walk more than 50 meters.
Yeah, that'll come. Respiratory. Jules, how's your weekend, man? Oh, nah. No, busy, yeah.
Yeah. Just like worked and that.
But just for everyone at home, we had Dad's son's christening yesterday, and Jules and Dad's mates took the absolute piss out of Jules about how when I asked him, what'd you do this week, Jules? It's the same answer. So, Jules, what'd you do this week, man?
He's written down something.
Actually did.
Word by word. What did I do? So what did I do?
Yeah, my son's christening.
Well, yeah. When was that? Yesterday?
Yeah.
Christening was good. St. Ignatius Church. They went to, what's it called? Pepe's.
Peppers.
It was good.
Good.
Food was good.
Good place.
Loved the environment was good. What else did I do? Went to the footy. Don't know why. I went to Dua Lipa's concert. That was good.
Yes, you
on
did.
the on the Wednesday night.
There's a video of Jules, like,
in awe.
from me to there. That's him to her.
Right.
He's like this.
Yeah.
Valen's just filming it. Oh,
Yeah,
I
she's
don't know how I
gross.
was able to sleep in the
She's
same
gross.
bed after that. But anyway,
That's it?
that was it. Yeah.
Fucking hell. 10. The christening was good yesterday.
It was a good day.
It was a great day.
It was a good day. It's good when we all get together. Pepe's, I don't know if anyone's been, our listeners, go to Pepe's Italian because the food was great.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be going there for a meal at some point.
Yeah.
The sausage balls.
Oh,
for a
fuck.
joke.
You allowed to swear on the podcast anymore?
What on earth?
Yeah.
When have we
Just a little
not?
bit. Yeah.
When have we
Oh,
not?
no, I mean for 6 weeks. The sausage rolls were a joke.
Yeah, they were a joke. And well, there was another thing as well. That was a joke as well. The
calzone.
yeah,
The
the
little
calzone
calzone
was very
nice.
good as well.
Yeah, yeah. Sausage roll is still number one.
I went up to the chef. I took a bite. I went up to the chef. I go, mate, you need a job in like a Michelin
It
star
was very
restaurant.
good. It was very good.
Michelin star. Oh yeah, Joe. What'd you do? We were together all weekend.
Went bouldering.
No, I didn't. Well, actually, I
Just
didn't.
went bouldering.
No, that was
yeah,
on-
you did,
no,
bloke.
that was Thursday.
Yeah, this week's Thursday.
All right, I was more talking about the weekend. But fair enough.
Hey, Jules is just aggressive from his roasting.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. He's actually, but Simo's in the chat actually,
Is he?
and he says, "Jules, give me something tonight." That's what he wants from you. Simo was the one that hammered Jules yesterday. Yeah, obviously I had the christening yesterday. Played today. It's the 13th pitch. Mac, who I work with, who I believe would be watching. If he's not, he'll be listening later in the week. He's a member down there. Very good golf course. Very, very fun. And we played a best ball scramble. So it was us two against the two young grads in our team. And old heads get it done, man.
You said you couldn't
Experience
hit
gets it
after with 3 holes left.
Yeah, the last 3 holes my back seized up, but we had it won with 4 holes to go. We played.
Yeah, right.
It's match play, so you play hole by hole. Well, 4 holes up, 4 holes to go, done, game over.
To the listeners listening,
It's just ridiculous.
Joe's needing a partner for rock climbing
No, I don't.
during the week.
Don't actually. I've got plenty of people that do it.
So if you all like rock climbing, give Joe a message on Instagram.
Plenty of people that do it.
No, you've asked me and Jules we're not.
I actually haven't asked either of you at all. So you're lying.
Anyway,
You're lying 5 minutes back in. 5 minutes in, you're
it's
lying
not.
already.
You've asked me before.
I haven't. I know you can't do it with your shoulder.
You've asked me though.
You've,
Listeners,
you've definitely asked me to
Bank.
go bouldering. I go, no.
this is where Joe gets all defensive because his pride and ego.
I don't care. I don't understand. If you don't like it, that's fine.
I don't
I'm
like
not-
you.
You know what? This could be the very last podcast I do with both of you.
Why,
'Cause you
why
both
is
shit me tonight.
bouldering such a thing now?
But it's good for you. It's good for you.
Seizing up back.
It's good
No,
for
no,
you.
no. I'm not going to disrespect others.
Just me.
Yeah.
Anyway. Before we get into it, obviously brought to you in 2025 by 3099 Jerky here. Jules has already smashed some of the garlic tonight. Garlic jerky, very nice. St. David Dairy, got the milk, got the coffee as we usually do over there. Get down there to their store in Fitzroy North, and Vortep Clothing, vortep.com.au. Get your gear there, boys. Dan, without any further ado,
Let's get into it.
all right, so obviously we're going to review the Hawthorne round 2 clash, but we weren't here last week. And on reflection, there are a couple of things I want to just tick off first before we do. There's a couple of discussion points that I think will lead into our review. Done a bit of research this week, a bit of digging. And I read out an article from The Age. This was published on the 11th of March, 2025, and it's titled An Absolute Nightmare. Sacked Carlton coaches reveal the depth of turmoil during a dark era. And they interviewed David Teague, Dennis Pagan, and Mick Malthouse as part of this series. And this excerpt is from, it's got to do with Mick. Now, Mick has been a whipping boy for many of us for the last 10 to 15 years around, basically, it's the first port of call to say that's where it all went wrong. Hiring him was the wrong decision, and it's been the downfall of the club. Yes or no? He's
Yes.
been a big part of it. Is what we've all sort of said along the way.
At the time.
At the time.
At
correct.
the time, yes.
So I'm just going to read this out and then I want to get your thoughts. So for Malthouse, another decorated coach who took the devil's candy at Carlton, the die was cast in his second season when his allies Stephen Kernahan and Greg Swan left the building together. Let's start preparing for winter holidays, Malthouse said to his wife. I played for Richmond, coach Collingwood, drove through Essendon to get to Tullamarine to fly out of the joint. So, I mean, that was bingo. I could sense it straight away. As soon as Stephen Kernahan left, that was the end of the ball game for me. Now, I knew I wasn't going to last there, but I enjoyed the player group. Staff was fantastic. The supporters, they have every right to boo, and they booed me quite frequently, according to my wife. Now, this is the interesting bit. Malthouse and the Blues were misaligned from 2014. We had not known of their 5-year plan. I took over and it was probably 2 years into it, and they said win a flag within 5 years. He said at that point, I've got news for you. We're a long way from that. This is going to take a slow burn to get right, and it's going to take patience. We've got to do it properly. So we've got to draft our way out of this. But when you've got a board who are stacked with people who are very successful business people, they don't understand that. Malthouse explained the difference between Collingwood and Carlton, stating Eddie Maguire did not have a rear vision mirror. He never spoke about the past. At Carlton, everything was about the past. Malthouse felt the board was too large. There was 13 at the time and often seemed more concerned with their business dealings. I was staggered. There was more transactions being done there between businesses. The football became secondary. You could tell it was more about how their companies were going than how Carlton was going. Thoughts?
I would have preferred for this to come out a lot earlier, to be fair.
Well, it came out on the eve of the season.
Well, I'm saying like...
And I wasn't going to touch it.
A year or two earlier. But I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, is what we already know now, given that we went through a review and everything. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Are you alluding to the fact that
you're alluding to
still happening now? This was 10 plus years ago.
So there's now 7 board members. I'll take you through it. Robert Priestley is the president, chairman of JP Morgan, Australia, New Zealand. Paddy Kinnersley is the vice president. She's the CEO of Our Watch. David Campbell is the chair of People and Culture. He's a partner at Egon Zender. Lara Carey is an experienced communications strategist, so basically a public relations spin doctor. Tim Lincoln, is the founder of Lincoln Indicators, and he's a data specialist. Helen Kurincic is chair of Macmillan Shakespeare, among many other ASX-listed non-executive director titles that she holds. Greg Williams is also on the board. 7 people. In that, there's 1 football person. Is that not a problem?
Do you have any comparison to other clubs?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't, but I think comparing to other clubs would be silly, because all we should be comparing to is ourselves right now. And right now, we look like a basketball.
But we don't know
but
if that makes...
You have to look at other clubs, because if you don't have any comparisons to other clubs in terms of their ratio and how they run things, and the better clubs. So
give me a club. Well,
if I was going to look at clubs, I'd go at clubs like a Geelong, I'd go Sydney,
even Hawthorne.
I'd go Hawthorne.
Yeah.
Those 3 clubs, they're the 3 clubs that I'd probably go to because of their last 20 or so years of high performance. They're the clubs I would go to.
I understand what you're trying to say is that what he was saying about back then, you're believing that is still happening now, hence the lack of success. Yes?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
And the lack of accountability for the football outcomes at the club.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
You got Cook there now. He's come from high quality clubs like West Coast, Geelong. And you've seen the turnaround in the last
I don't think these
years.
people that you've listed are making the decisions.
Yeah, I don't think so at the moment.
I really don't.
Yeah.
So what are they?
They don't need to make the decisions.
So they've got to be doing something, being on the board of a football club. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So who's accountable?
Well, at the moment.
And after reading an article where one of the most successful
at the moment,
coaches,
the players and the coaches are accountable because we're in season.
After just reading an article.
No, right now, the players and the coaches are accountable.
Absolutely.
Because we're in season. In the off season, we can talk about that shit.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But
But right now, we just finished round 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that they have no say.
Especially the last few years, last 3-4 years. Obviously, you got Voss to the club, got Brian Cook to the club. And now we've got a different fitness person as well. So in terms of the quality and capabilities, are they not higher than they were 5 years ago?
I just think
that's
that
better.
article reaffirms why we did the review.
Yeah.
Of the club.
Yeah.
Does it not?
yes, it does.
Would have liked that article come out as he got sacked.
Yeah. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of it's Mick. I've never agreed with Mick in my life, and everything he said in that article makes a hell of a lot of sense. So,
Of course it does, because it was 10 years ago.
that's right. So, no, but it's not. But it's also now. Is the point?
Yeah, but who's on the board now compared to 10 years ago?
Well, I listed 6 of 7 are still business people. So forget about who it is.
Who are the clubs? The other clubs?
I can't get it up. My computer's going to overheat if I try. You can have a look. Have a look as we go. But well, Jordan's going to have a look for us. Got it like our own Jamie.
How good is this? How good is that?
Thanks, George.
Anyway, I just thought it was
Can
interesting.
you check Supercoach scores?
I
after this?
thought it was interesting because
Can you call
Because-
Charlie and see if he's going to rock up this week?
I thought it was interesting just because it's come from Mick. And a lot of us, the majority of us, have held him as a scapegoat for a long time. But he's speaking a lot of sense to me. And he's come from a successful club in Collingwood who have always had football people on their board. I do know.
I don't think there's any, like in any football club, there's only one person that we can just say, oh, it's their fault. So, yeah, he probably was the scapegoat for most people. I feel like as if him obviously coming in after Ratton as well, I don't think that helped his cause. Because I think Ratton had a pretty good
That
ratio.
was stated in the article.
Yeah.
Too.
So, and Ratton had a very, very good record as well. He was tracking over 50% wins,
He was, yeah.
as well. So it wasn't like as if he wasn't doing too badly either. Towards the end, it was injuries that sort of did get him, I feel, towards the back half of that year. And that's why we didn't make finals.
But we also have with the scrutiny that Molehouse was getting at the time, or on us three, we have a very different outlook on how we're judging the club compared to then.
Now, yep.
You know?
Well, yeah, you're about to see it when we do this review.
I feel
No,
like
but
as if-
seriously.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah.
I just feel like as if, I mean, I don't know about ours or even our supporter base, I reckon too, to be honest with you. I reckon our supporter base has higher standards than the actual footy club at the moment.
Yeah, well,
That's what it feels.
Yeah,
That's
but
it
what I'm
feels
trying
like.
to say is at that time, there was no accountability on the playing group because we were told that we were 2 years into a rebuild of 5 years, for example, yeah? So there was no accountability on the playing group. No one really wanted to step outside, say, the head coach and start to talk about culture in the club, CEO. No one did at that period of time. That's why he was getting a lot more scrutiny. I think now we're looking at the picture very differently.
Okay. I just wonder whether or not that culture's changed, honestly. I wonder whether or not the culture has changed from looking at the past when I see at King's birthday. Wait. When I see pre-game at a King's birthday clash with Essendon, we get our 16 cups out.
What concerns me,
So
I know what you're
that's,
saying.
that's when my mindset is with this is going, okay, this is one of the most successful head coaches of all time coming out. Give me some insight into his experience at the club, not too long ago, really. And you can reflect on the last 3 to 5 years. And I can tell you there's more examples than the one I just gave where you go, we're not looking forward. And it's clear that we're not looking forward.
Have we not improved the last 2-3 years?
Improvement's fine, but it's like people saying this week, oh, but we were better against the Hawks than we were against Richmond. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I
Yeah.
100%.
I
But
agree
I'm
with what
saying
Joe
is
said.
Where we've come from as a club 10 years ago to the last 2-3 years, it's chalk and cheese. Like it's undeniable that we have.
My thing is I think what's wrecking all our brains is we're trying to work out from what Joe's showing that article even is this a culture thing or is this a message from head coach, playing group and what they're understanding by, for example, Harry Mackay's comments pre-season.
That's
Walsh's comments pre-season, Cripper's comments pre-season about not alluding to wanting to win a flag. I think everyone's actually losing their mind as to thinking, where is the intention of the playing group and the staff or is it a culture thing? Is it from the top, very top?
that alongside in terms of like our wording, okay, the way we actually respond to the questions from the media, like even post game, like Savani, I felt like as if he didn't want to say what he said.
Yeah.
Okay, because apparently, at least this is what I was told and what I heard that. And I haven't actually listened to what he said post game, and you probably know more, and the listeners probably know more, in terms of his exact wording. But it was along the lines of, we still got like 21 games to go. Where me, it's no, we don't have 21 games to go. Like the time is now. Like
Those
It's
last
now.
2 rounds aren't good enough.
Yeah,
That's
those
what I
last
would have
two-
wanted.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
what I would have wanted. Some
It's-
transparency to go, that is not good enough from us.
It's not transparent. It's just accountability.
Yeah.
It's accountability. Oh, mate, that was not good enough. You can't lose against Richmond. And the performance, not the effort, because I think the effort was there against Hawthorne for the majority, but it's the way we structure up and the way we move the football is a disaster.
I know we're going to talk about this in a lot more detail, but the word I'm actually starting to lose it at is but the effort was there for 3 quarters.
Yeah, no.
We lost the game.
Yeah.
Why are we still as supporters asking for 4 quarters of footy? That's the concerning part.
Just to close this one out so we can move on.
That's the concerning part, Joe.
Geelong's board. We've got a NAB executive.
Business.
Yep, that's fine. We've got Stephen Goff, who was the former CEO of the MCG Trust as stadium management.
Business.
Oh, it's still sport, right? We had one sports person on there.
Go.
Right?
It's not footy edge.
No, I don't care. There's a lawyer. That's fine. Everyone's got a lawyer.
3.
Bob Gartland, footy history, lifelong Geelong historian and club supporter.
Business.
Club supporter.
It's not a footy person.
It's a footy. Of course, it's a footy
No,
person.
they
you're
haven't
saying
played.
like
No,
They
but
haven't
they
in
give a
terms
shit
of-
about the club. No.
I agree.
No,
But
stop.
there's no operation.
No.
of
He is the
football.
club.
They don't know
Stop.
about football.
He's the club historian. He's a club supporter. He gives a shit about the club and he gives a shit about the success of the club. That's the difference.
Yeah,
that's
but
not business and that's not irrelevant.
Keep going.
The difference is knowing about football.
Let him keep going and see what it does.
Marketing and brand, obviously, everyone's got that.
That's one then.
Brad Johnson, footy. Brad Johnson, footy.
Okay.
Danielle Alexander, legal and sports governance. Sports. There's 4 people here that have a sports background in Geelong's board. You asked for it. I'm giving it to you.
Go.
Of the 8 people, 50% of them have a sports background, and 2 of them give a shit about the success of their club from a football perspective.
For me, that's not enough to say.
Right. If that's not enough,
No,
then
it's not enough to say, all right, that's the reason why.
For Malthouse's comments, you're saying
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
that's fine.
It's
That's
not
fine.
enough.
That's fine.
If you want to go like that, like Chris Judd, get him on. Like Chris Judd would be a perfect person. Understands business.
He was there.
They're very educated.
He was there.
I agree. But if he should be on the board, who else could be on the board that knows Carlton and like respects Carlton? Okay, there'd be other ones. What Fraser Brown, someone like that. Okay, he's played footy.
So a club historian doesn't fucking count then, is what you're saying.
No, I'll tell you why. I understand they care about the club. Yeah, I care about the club too, but I don't think I'm a better person than probably some of those people. I don't know, but you need people, business people that understand business, understand standards and expectations, and be able to manage people. These people, hopefully, you'd think know how to do that. Okay, but I understand your point in terms of having footy heads there. Geelong don't have footy heads.
They've got more than us.
That
They've got
Brown.
us. They've got more than us.
Footy heads. They
Footy-
understand the game. They only had one.
It's not about understanding the game tactically. It's about the importance of success on the field. If you've got a sports background, if you've got a footy background, whatever it is, wherever you come from.
Just because they do sports in terms of it's still business. It's not sport related in terms. It's
As in their
completely-
career.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Anyway, move on
We'll
because
move on. All right. Let's get into the review then. To start, I'm going to play a clip, and this is from the rooms after the game.
That's how we play. The method that we want to go and we have to fight back 2 or 3 times. But that's what resilience is, boys. It's just such a much more sustainable version of us to be able to play that way. Like some of the contest stuff is unbelievable to us. But you also got to be realistic and know that there's some things we've got to get better. Right? So there's some contests that let us down. When we really come down to it, we need to be able to sort of stand up in the last quarter. There's some contests that probably let us down. So keep getting better at it. But it's a model that's far more sustainable. Our ball movement, our braveness, our willingness to keep playing this. Even when we had moments where we were disappointed, that's what we've got to keep reinforcing. So walk away disappointed, right? But know that we've just started. Right? Start from negative base, but we'll climb back. It's a far better version of what we're about, and it's so much closer to where I thought we'd get it. And we know we've got work to do. So don't go moping in this room. Take the loss, disappointed. Don't listen to one more thing outside of that. Oh, we got it? Yeah.
All right, final scores. Carlton 8-12-60, Hawthorne 12-8-80. Goals for the Blues, Chera, Cottrell, Hewitt, Kemp, Motlop, Silvani, 1 each, Williams with 2. No injuries for the Blues, which was nice, but Harry Mackay was replaced late for Lewis Young with that illness, whatever that means. 62,000 at the G on Thursday night. Thoughts? That's the first time you've seen it. Thoughts on it?
I just don't know what to make of Voss, especially after his last 2 presses and now watching that. I'm not off him. I think it's a lot of the same stuff that is spoken about without actually sort of being transparent with what needs to be delivered. At the end of the day, you lost the game. You lost the game. I think we need to understand that.
I'll put it this way. You go to and watch. I get that, but it's all obviously related in terms of Voss's messaging, the presser compared to Sam Mitchell's. Okay. Sam Mitchell, I think that Hawthorne, they bet Essendon last week pretty easily. Wasn't happy. I adamantly wasn't happy.
Jules, he wasn't happy at half time.
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Correct. But
Against
they
us.
won. Yeah, they won against us by 20 points. Okay. I wasn't happy after this. They got a lot of work to do. Like, honestly, this is how he's, this is his messaging. This is how he is. Okay. With his footy club and his supporter base. Okay. I just think they have higher standards and higher accountability than us. And you have seen Sam Mitchell on footage at halftime or quarter time in the huddles go off at his players and show emotion in the coach's box. Voss has shown little. He's smirking. I just don't know. I'm not off him like you guys aren't. I'm not off him, but I'm just not happy with the messaging and the body language. It just doesn't show me that he's in control of the situation.
What it is for me is that if you aren't expecting excellence, so whatever the highest possible standard that you can achieve, if that's not what you're aiming for and your standards are a lot lower, or you're portraying that message to be a lot lower, like saying that we're close in the game against Hawthorne,
I'll put it this way.
I'm concerned.
Hawthorne controlled the game for me from start till finish.
But even when they didn't,
I don't think that's true.
No. I'm telling you now, they controlled the majority of that game.
I'll tell you something. What they were able to do, Jules, what they were able to do was increase their pressure and their effort to nullify when we had that patch, especially at the end of the first half and in the second, Hawthorne up their pressure gauge 230. Ours is at 211. But listen, ours is so we bought it, yeah, and we're entering forward 50. All right, we can talk about our entries. We'll talk about our entries.
Were you ever confident that we were going to win that game?
At 3/4 time, I was.
Were you confident?
I wasn't.
Not that we were going to win. Hold on. I wasn't confident that we were going to win. I was confident that we could give it a shake in the last.
Yeah, but I was
never confident. Let me finish this. I tell you why I wasn't confident, because I felt that we'd thrown everything at them in the patches that we were trying to get ascendancy. And all they knew is if they stayed competitive with us, that their quality was going to get them over the line. And they knew it.
Yeah, that's true.
All they knew was to hold their intensity high enough to nullify our effect. And they knew they'd run away with the game, because Carlton and this playing group, the reality is, boys, that when our backs are against the wall, we can't bring it to what Hawthorne did. Yeah, we can't swing it back our way.
For me, the difference is not the effort for both teams. That's not the difference, and the reason why we lost. The reason why we lost was around structure, and the way that they moved the ball inside forward 50. I think they had. Let me have a look. I think was it 5. They had 13 marks inside forward 50 to 5 on a wet weather footy night. So think about it. Yeah, like we tackles. I think had like 19 tackles inside forward 50. I think they had 13, 14. We out tackled them. We contested. We had more contested possessions. We had more clearances. I think we ended up with 12, 13 more clearances.
Yeah, but the first half was a stoppage game. It was very much a stoppage game. It was. It was very much clearance and stoppage dominated.
They scored, I think, 30-something points to our 5 from the back half. And that was over the course of the game.
Jules, they didn't score their first goal from the back half until the late in the second. Genuine statistic.
They were able to move the football a lot easier than what we were.
Agree.
They got it. We won the contest, won the clearances, yet they were more efficient from getting the ball from the contest, outside the contest by hand, and then being able to pick us apart by foot. Okay?
I agree with that.
And it wasn't because of their speed. It wasn't because of their speed in terms of running power. It was because it was their speed by hand and speed by foot, by handballing and kicking.
But they also, so I know you want to pipe in,
no, it's fine.
but Jules, they also weren't clean at times. But do you know what they did? They worked hard enough to actually be able to provide a support. I was watching hand passes by fucking Hardwick, miss the target to Sicily, but who's there? Amon. They're all busting their ass to get to the next ball.
So what I want to ask is, firstly, before this conversation continues, does this look worse to us and does it feel worse because we couldn't get it done in round 1? Have a think about it before you answer. Because we couldn't get it done against Richmond, does this look and feel worse than what it might actually
because
be?
every game should be judged. Every game you should be judging differently. That's my opinion.
I judge them on performance.
Correct. Each game. You're not thinking about the Richmond game now that we're looking at Hawthorne.
No, but it does play. I feel it does play into it that it may be exacerbated a bit because we're 0-2. We're not 1-1. We did the fixture pre-season in the episode before Dan came back. We both had this as a loss. Did we not?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So my point is, and I'm just playing devil's advocate to say, does it feel worse than what it is? Look, objectively,
it should feel worse.
No. I know, but objectively, probably right. Probably it does feel a lot worse than what the reality might show over the next couple of weeks. Might. It's a big maybe at this point. I'm with you. That you can't let them off, regardless. You can't, because at this point you were in the game at 3/4 time. We were texting each other up until that point, and both of us said we had the ascendancy there for at least a quarter and a half. Like, we were all over them. I don't feel Hawthorne really had that much influence.
No, I thought they were absorbing. They were just absorbing and absorbing.
On top of that, taking the bigger picture into account, Hawthorne is a high-scoring team. They move the football very easily. We held them to 80.
Yeah.
So hold on. Pre-season, we all sort of alluded to it. The biggest thing we need to fix this year is our defensive ability, right? We've held them to 80 across the course of the game. Now, I'm not saying it's an out. I'm just saying they scored 140-something on us or 130-something on us last time we played.
Joe, we lost the game.
I understand. No, I'm not letting them off. I just said this. I'm not letting them off. I'm not letting them off. We're 0-2. It's rubbish. It's not good enough.
So what's your point?
I'm sick of hearing this bloke of like little outs.
I'm saying the question at the start of what I was saying was, does it feel worse than what it is because we also lost round 1 when we shouldn't have?
If we won round 1 by a point and lost the way we did against Hawthorne.
I'm not saying to win by a point. I'm saying to do what we should have done in round 1. If we did that and beat them by 60, right? Like we all thought we should have.
Then it'd be fine.
This is my point, right?
Yeah, but we didn't. So, and what I'm trying to say, but we didn't.
But do you understand my question?
I understand what you're trying to say.
I understand what you're trying to say, but we didn't. And in terms of like efficiency, they were 9% more efficient than us.
How much?
In possession. 9%.
Yeah, 9%.
That's
I think
massive. In wet. That was 73% in wet.
Our kicking efficiency alone was like 60-something percent. It's terrible.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ours was 64%.
Yeah.
We don't have the players to be a Hawthorne, though.
I agree with that.
We don't. Jules, we don't have the players to be a Hawthorne.
I agree 100%.
This is what you have to understand.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay. But we can have so much better balance in our game. Okay. Parts of the year last year, our transition footy was very good.
Agree.
Okay. And it's not, everyone thinks you need to move the footy. And the reason why you move the footy quick is because you got leg speed. That's not the case. Hawthorne did not move the footy quick by leg speed. In fact,
it was handball change.
We had 4 bounces. They had 0 bounces for the game. They didn't run it.
Yeah, it's the way
They
you move
use
the
it
footy.
by hand.
Yeah, agree.
All right, and they'll kicking it and they'll accurate and they'll go through the corridor and they take the game on. We do
But
not
Jules,
take the game
in order
on.
to
It's
do that-
negative football.
But in order to do that, Jules, you have to be working hard to be able to provide options to get yourself up the ground. There's an understanding from each player at Hawthorne when they get the ball in certain positions that they're providing options. You could see it.
So
and that's structure.
can I
But
ask
when
you,
Fox
course it
always
is.
speaks about contest and pressure and so on, we should be long gone about those types of conversation. That should be the expectations. They should be the non-negotiables. The extra stuff that you want to be able to come top 4 is the way in which we move the ball. We cannot move the ball. That's the reason why Hawthorne are where they are. They have non-negotiables, but they're able to move the ball and structure up, and they have Josh Battle behind the ball now, which should be our leadering. But then Josh Battle dishes the ball out to an Amos on the wing. Okay, to Amon on the wing, sorry, and Ambrosio and so on. Yeah. If you have a look at their wingers, Ambrosio had 25 touches or 26 touches. You know how many were contested? 6 or 7 in the wet. Camporelli had 8, 9 touches. 7 or 8 were contested.
Yeah.
Akers had 15 touches, and pretty much all the same thing. All of them were contested again. You're a winger. You're on the outside. But we're using him as a contested player, both of them. Doesn't make any sense. And that comes down to structure and ball movement. And at the moment, we don't have it. That's the difference.
I can agree with you that the ball movement out of D50 is slow, or our ball movement in transition is slow. We're even taking that dump kick again out on the wing. We are. We're doing that long kick down the wing. My thing is,
everywhere.
but yeah, it is. But Jules, it's even our forward structure. We haven't had a forward structure for 5 years. Think about it. It's been dysfunctional.
from Damaja, Walsh, Hewitt, Cripps, Campo, Akers, Young, Fogarty, Cottrell, Kemp, Lord, Hollands are average kicks at best. You can't afford that many in one side, especially when you consider that we do have a lack of leg speed, which I think is true. Now, this is where the problem lies, right? We can't play that football because we don't have skilled footballers, Jules. We've been saying this for years. They're not skilled. They're not. But Jules, I understand what you're saying. Even if I
in an ideal world, you're right.
I truly believe what you're saying is correct. Not for this crop of players that we've got. They are not skilled footballers.
Then we're never going to make top 4 then.
Hold on. How many years have we spoken about on this podcast our lack of ability to execute basic skills? Think about it. We've done this for 5 years now.
Yeah.
How many times have the three of us said?
We're in agreement with that.
Can I ask you a question?
Geelong don't move the ball like Hawthorne do.
No, they don't.
But if you have a think about it, all the players, they get drafted. Okay. So all the Hawthorne players, and obviously we're using Hawthorne as the example, because at the moment, maybe GWS, but at the moment, they're probably the benchmark in terms of moving the footy. We can agree with that.
The concerning part is that we're talking about a Hawthorne side. That's the benchmark.
They've turned around in
where people should be talking about us in this light, Jules. But I'm saying that's the concerning part.
100%.
With where we're at. If people want to be real, that you've got a Hawthorne side in a quote unquote 2-year, and we spoke about this rebuild, which those clubs, your Geelong, your Hawthorns, I guarantee they don't use the word rebuild. They don't. But they're in a 2-year. We spoke about that.
So, but do we think, all these players, they were just drafted and they're all elite kicks and elite handballs, and then all of a sudden they just get it?
That comes down to development. Yeah. But this has been an issue.
But no, it comes down from the standard of the coach in what he expects from the players in training.
Yeah.
I use this Sam Mitchell. I use this Sam Mitchell example all the time. He put his players on notice in a performance at the start of last year or the year before?
Last year.
They got belted. He put all his players on notice in that presser, in training. The media came out and go, the way Hawthorne are training, players are going to get injured. Since then, they haven't looked back. It's called, as you mentioned, standards, but it's on the back of an expectation, the effort you're not asking for.
So where do the standards come from? Because there's a core
right now it's Michael Voss.
There's a core group of players. I don't need to name them. We all know that have now been through 3 coaching iterations, 3 together, and all of them, that core group, are our top paid players. Right? Either the answer is they're not good enough and they don't apply themselves enough, regardless of what they're told, or we've got our coaching appointments wrong for the better part of the last 10 years. So which one is it?
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm
Which one is it?
I'll be real. I personally think that Jordan Russell, as our forward coach, we've got it wrong.
Okay.
Because of what I've seen from a forward structure, that we've had Harry and Charlie, for example, we've needed smalls around them and we still haven't got that right. I'm looking at week after week, including last year, we have had a dysfunctional forward line.
Yeah, on the back of that though, Paysan, I just think in terms of our forward line, and particularly smalls, they haven't really had any continuity, like whatsoever.
I agree with you.
Like almost zero. Like chopping and changing. Like how long has Motlop been? This is his third year. He's played,
Fourth, I think.
fourth year.
Third, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
But in terms of injury, like he barely got to the park last year. You know,
I-
Durden barely gets onto the park. Fantasia is like very similar boat. You know, in terms of continuity, you know, before that as well, obviously at Port.
But if there's a clear
Fogarty as well, like there's no continuity,
But-
so they're not playing together.
Why I'm bringing
I'd
this
like
up?
to see how many games the Hawthorne's forward line have played together.
Well, Nick Watson was only drafted last year.
Yeah, but Watson and Ginnivan haven't missed a game together.
No, I know. But that's
what
got
I'm
nothing.
saying.
That's got but I
that's a whole
understand.
year of developing chemistry between them.
I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is you've got two full forwards or two forwards going up for the same ball. How many times do you see that?
We have backs are going out for the same ball.
I know, but I'm just saying it's dysfunctional.
Yeah,
But it's
Against
been-
Richmond,
it's
we had
structure.
no
It's all
one deep.
structure.
We want
Boys.
deeper entries, and there's no one deep.
Boys, I'm trying to say we have been talking about this for years about us being dysfunctional. Prior to this podcast, we would have conversations on the phone between us about how fucking dysfunctional we look on the field. That these players can't execute the basics. I'm not talking the last 3 years, I'm talking the last 10. So what's the problem?
but like 2023 from round 10, 11.
It was 12 weeks of lightning in a bottle. That's how I'm looking at it right now.
But and this first half of last year, were we?
You said preseason you weren't convinced by that. That's not true.
No,
we
but what
weren't
I'm
playing the
saying
footy we
was-
wanted to play last year, even though we were winning games. It's true.
What do you mean? We were or we weren't?
We weren't. No way.
What type of footy we were playing?
Like we weren't convinced.
No, we're scraping at the start of the
No, but
season.
like the back end of the year before.
Yeah, well, 2023, yes, but I'm saying that's lightning in a bottle because we've only done it for 10 weeks. That's it. It's all said. We've done it for 10 weeks. This group of players has done it for 10 weeks together, where we've looked at it and gone, "Holy shit, this could be it." Yeah, everyone looked at it.
So where do you see it? So go. So me and Jules have spoken a fair bit.
I actually don't know the answer. This
Well,
is
that's
my point.
concerning.
Well, I don't know the answer because it's been so long. Only because this is now a 10-year problem. It's not a fucking 2-year problem. It's not a 5-year problem. This is 10 years where we have all been talking about the exact same shit.
But Joe,
Skill level, coaches, dysfunction, structure. We have done this to death. So what is it?
it's standards. For me, it's
Right,
standards.
but
I
so
don't care what anyone.
I agree
and
with
do you know
that.
the thing is?
So where do the stand? Hold on.
The
Wait,
problem
wait,
is
wait,
people
wait.
accepting mediocrity
Where-
and saying that's okay.
Which
That is
people?
a problem.
Who?
For example, we have divided supporters. That is plain and simple. I guarantee you go and get a Geelong supporter and they're in the same room. More often than not, a lot of the time, they'll be agreeing or disagreeing with each other on the same conversation about their team. Us Carlton supporters, we are so divided in our opinion on the team, and that shows.
Agree.
It does. We are so divided. Some say 3/4 of footy they're happy with because it's showing improvement from the week before. Some are saying that they don't want this.
For me, it's actually like not. It's barely the effort. I don't think it's effort. I think it's all tactics. I think it's all structure and like tactical awareness. I think it's more that at the moment. I think we need, like you're alluding to in terms of Russell.
You said it yourself.
That's what it is for me.
You said it yourself. Jules, maybe I was in hospital when you mentioned it. He goes, I'm surprised we didn't change some personnel from a coaching
coach. Yeah.
from an assistant coach. Remember you said that,
Yeah.
Jules?
While we're talking about expectation, let's move on to this. I've got 3 articles here. Let me read them from 3 players from the preseason. Cripps, February 24th, interview at Captain's Day on the external expectations of Carlton. That's always going to be the conversation all year, a rolling narrative. It's a marathon, and our big focus is to be consistent. There are going to be times this year when we get on a roll, win 4 or 5 games. There's going to be times we lose 2 in a row. I just want to see how we respond and how we keep the momentum and build good habits. If we do that, we know we'll try and qualify as high as we can. When it gets to finals, that's where the real stuff starts. That's where my mindset is. And I've played long enough now to realize that's how you have to view it. I think that's fine from
the captain.
I think that's fine. I don't think there's much there that you can really pick out, right? He's basically saying we need to be better. Yeah, and the standard is you get to finals, and that's where you fucking that's where your season
I still would like us to take it by the balls.
Walsh interview.
Wouldn't you not?
Walsh interview on March 5th. March 5th. With no easy wins on the cards, Walsh said his team will be looking to put their heads down and get to work on turning up week after week. This is a vice captain. We'll get knocked between the eyes if we go in like that, taking teams not so seriously. To be a top 4 team, what you need to do is come each week with the mindset to get better. I think teams say that they want to play together and have a real strong connection on the field, but we have to start to action that, and I think the rest will come. If you start to look forward too much, then you start to get into trouble. We'll put our head down and work hard, and I think it'll pan out pretty well for us. Taking round 1 into account, how does that sound?
Terrible.
Harry Mackay, interview on the 30th of January, SEN.
This one, man.
Don't even say it.
While the Blues are clearly in the flag window, the 27-year-old doesn't think that the 2025 season is the be-all, end-all for himself and the group, despite that being the obvious goal. And he and much of the club's core have plenty of good footy ahead of them. Definitely, and obviously, the goal is to win one. As I said, the group is in a really good place right now to give it a good shake. As a group, we're right in the window, and anything can happen for as long as you're playing. So now, up until that point, that's fine.
I've got no issues with that.
So I don't think there's a rushness that we need to win the grand final this year. Although as a senior player, that's what you're all thinking about every time you wake up. Okay, so you think about it when you wake up, but no rushness to do it this year. There's obviously an understanding that they're hard to win, and as you get older and older, that window gets smaller. But I think all you can do is focus on the day and control what you can control and actually try and enjoy the journey, because a grand final doesn't define what you are as a player. Just try and enjoy the job and what we get to do for a living, then knowing that if we get enough right, that'll take care of itself. If we were 2-0, you wouldn't be talking about it. If we beat the Hawks, if we slap Richmond, like we all said we should have, and if we had to beat the Hawks, we were on a roll, wouldn't be talking about it.
Wrong. We were commenting on it in pre-season.
No, but yeah, it wouldn't be a talking point now. You wouldn't think about it. That's fact, because these comments were being made in back half of 2023 too, in the lead up to that. And we didn't talk about it then. We made a prelim, right? So that's objectively we wouldn't be. However, reality is we're 0-2. We lost to Richmond when we were 41 points up. We played 3 quarters of football against the Hawks and lost the game when we were in it at 3/4 time on the scoreboard. Those comments look absolutely disgusting now, and there's no other way to put it.
And just quickly as well, it like, because I know, or you had a moment actually at the game, didn't you, where you were judged as not a loyal supporter because you're being critical, or you left the game early.
We left 10 minutes
but
early.
It's fine to judge the team like this. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be all optimistic.
That example there is actually a good example, because we left 10 minutes early, right? We left. Older gentleman at the end of the aisle as we're leaving says, real supporters don't abandon their team, or something like that. And I said to him, mate, with all due respect, I'm not a moron. And by that, I meant, essentially, why should we all sit there after we've been told all week, show up for the boys, get loud, first home game of the year? And we showed up. 63,000 of us showed up. Get loud, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You go, pour your heart out, and then they decide to stop in the last quarter and not play football. Why are we expected to sit there and turn up for 4 quarters when they're not? Why is the expectation of our supporter base, and this has been the case for so many years, that if you leave the game early, you're
I'm going to use your dad as an example. Can I use your dad as an example for something?
Can you look up Richmond's memberships?
It's low.
Yeah, just look it up, because I'd love to know where.
Jordan,
I'd love to know
pull
where. No, honestly, because like if you want to compare Richmond during their premiership era,
yeah,
what did they get to? Was it 100? They got to 100.
more.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
They were first. They were the first.
It's heavy at 100.
And then what did we have when we were winning the Spirit? Like,
88.
That's what I'm saying.
85, yeah.
So if anyone's like
This year?
I know you're actually.
Well, they reckon they've got 105.
Yeah,
but
the 105. SARS 3-game membership.
Their crowd attendance will tell the tale this year.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what I'm saying. Like in terms of like
our loyalty
and our attendance, even like last year or the year before, even years prior when we weren't, winning, our attendance would be there or thereabouts, if not more. For me, I think probably definitely more than a Richmond, even during the time that they were, putting in good performances.
The reason I say this is because I had a mate of ours say, "Oh, you've jumped ship," and we haven't jumped ship.
We still do this every week.
Exactly, but not only that, we haven't jumped ship.
Not last week.
No, but we're just criticising.
Even then, we still gave you to make sure that we didn't do it. How's that?
Yeah, but we're just criticising based on our expectations. Your dad is the best example. I don't think your dad has had a good word to say about the team since the Melbourne game.
He's just happy J-Sauce is back.
Well,
that's literally
seriously,
the only thing.
But Sylv would be probably one of the most loyal supporters of Carlton you've ever seen.
Both our dads didn't go on Thursday. They are coming this Friday, apparently, though. I saw them last night. So apparently they're coming on Friday. But they didn't go, and neither of them.
Your dad's even going to come.
Apparently. Because the Bulldogs lost. How's that for logic? So they both didn't go, but they both didn't go because
it was cold.
No, not because it was cold. They
had
we
enough.
spoke about this during the
week. They had enough. They're over it.
They're sick of it. And sometimes we look at the older brigade of supporters and go, you guys don't get it. It's a different game. Unfortunately, we're the ones that don't actually
I get it now.
Unfortunately, we're the ones that haven't got it for a long time. They see it for what it is. I messaged
your dad.
There's no point expending your energy each week at the game if they are going to rock up and not expend theirs. Simple. And my dad and your dad didn't even watch the game. My dad said they don't deserve more than 10 seconds from me tonight after what they did last week. He doesn't even know the score. Genuinely, he doesn't even know the score.
I apologise to your dad. I said, I'm sorry, Sylv. I understand now. Because even against Richmond, he was hammering Joe for being optimistic about something, and your dad lost it because he's sick of it. And he's seen he has high standards.
He was 40 points up.
But he has high standards based on what he's seen and what the club's achieved.
Agree. But they're going to be there on Friday, apparently. So
I don't know if that's.
I saw
him
call him in.
I saw him last night. They told me they'll both be there. Anyway, all right. So it was not as much a review of the game as more a review of where we're at after 2 weeks, and it is only 2. I know I don't want to say it, but it is only 2 weeks. It's a 24-week season.
Don't sound like it.
No, I know. I'm not trying to sound like the club or the players, but in reality, it's true.
We just spoke a whole podcast on it.
No, but hold on. In reality, there's still there's still a lot of seasons
about the game.
There's still a lot of seasons to turn. There's still a lot of seasons to turn it around, right? They just got to pull their finger out. They've got to. They have to realize the situation they're in now, not the situation they might be in 10 weeks' time. That's the reality they've got to face, because we got the Dogs this week. We lose that, we're 0-3, and I'm telling you now, we'll go into that Pies game. We got no chance if we got no momentum. We struggled to beat them even when we were at the peak of our powers a couple of years back. Struggled. So if we're 0-3, we'll be 0-4, and then it's the Eagles in Adelaide. Not that that's a given. Then it's not that that's a given. So it can get away from you very quickly if they don't switch on. I know they're saying there's a lot of season left, and there is, but it won't be too soon before you start hitting panic stations.
Just on the game, just quickly, can we go back?
Yeah.
Just 2 seconds. In the first half, our ability to defend well was on the back of actually getting deeper entries. They were. A lot of the time, the entries were a lot deeper.
Can I also
I do believe we need to lower the eyes a lot more as well.
So
the deeper entries allowed us to set up behind the ball, which I think was a big reason as to why Hawthorne's score was nullified to 35 or whatever.
On that,
do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think
we defended the ground better. I said that at the start. I actually think we did defend the ground better for a large part of that game, just not for long enough. Simple. I'd want to say one thing: 2-7 and 2-8 second halves against Richmond and Hawthorne. 2-7, kicked 4 goals, 15 in second halves across 2 games.
They had similar scoring shots as well.
We didn't kick a goal in the last quarter.
We had the same scoring.
We didn't kick a goal in the last quarter.
12-8.
No. I'm actually talking about the halves.
Yeah, they were 7-3.
Even in the halves.
They were 7-3.
Yeah,
it was the exact same.
What I'm saying.
It was the exact same. 2-7, 2-8 and 7-3. So 10 scoring shots each in the second half. Execution. Spoken about this plenty of times on the podcast as well. Now, not saying that that's the only problem, okay? But I've watched a lot of footy this weekend, and I know we're talking about the way that we move the ball inside 50. It does have to get a lot better. However, late in games, when teams are trying to score, repeat entries do happen with a lot of teams, and they happen in a very similar way to what we do. I've watched 4 games of footy this weekend. 4 of those games, I saw multiple teams do the exact same thing that we do, late in games and late in quarters, or whenever we've got them hemmed in. It's long bombs. That's the game. That's just footy. Now, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think it would be better to clean them up. But if you're getting repeat entries, think about it, right? How many players are inside your forward 50 after 3 or 4 repeat entries?
But they need to be deep to be able to pen that
deep,
in.
I agree.
It can't have
100%.
just a long ball, like a long bomb inside
That's what
50,
we've got.
and we're on the. Like,
That's what we've got to get better at. The other thing we've got to get better at is when we've actually got space, Doherty on the wing.
Yeah.
To Charlie? Was it to Charlie?
I didn't see Charlie all
I
game.
think it was maybe Zach Williams.
Charlie,
I can't
I didn't
remember.
actually see Charlie all game.
was the lowest rated player on
19
the
super
game.
coach points.
I didn't
That's
see him.
telling me. 19 super coach points.
Okay. The only one that had less was Cooper Lord, and he came on like
As
the
a
last
sub.
10 minutes
Yeah.
of the game.
There was a passage play where Doc all he had
But
to
he
do
had a
was
good
hit.
game.
All he had to do was hit Charlie in a paddock of space over his head.
It's true though. What standards are we having?
I've done a whole hour on standards
No,
today.
no. I'm
but
not-
Voss is
No,
happy
he's saying
to
about Charlie. He's saying about
contest.
Charlie.
Sorry about
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
There was a passage of play where Charlie's running away from Doherty. He's already 50 meters
I know
away
what
from
you're
him
talking about.
on the
I
run.
remember.
I know.
Charlie, or I can't remember if it even was Charlie. Whoever the player was.
It was Charlie.
Start back.
Yeah.
Give him a lead. Like, go. It's those moments where I go, that's piss poor, because Hawthorne in that moment would destroy you. 1-on-1 inside 50, you got no chance against Nick Watson. You got no chance against Jack Ginnivan. It's not happening. Maybe a Chol. Not happening. Those are the moments where I go, yeah, that's what we've got to clean up our inside 50s. I'm actually not so concerned about the repeat entries, as long as they're deep, which they were a lot deeper.
They
for a lot
were
of the game.
better. They were definitely better.
Yeah. You've got to make teams panic when you get repeat entries.
but-
The only way you can do it is unfortunately, from what I've seen with football at the moment, long bombs, because there's a flood of players in your back line and in your forward line and in your forward 50 after you get 3 or 4 repeat entries on the go.
No, the issue is the pressure.
Yeah, to lock it in. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the issue.
after. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
that's the
course.
issue.
But that's what I'm saying. That allows you to
Just
even
set up.
set up. Correct.
All right. We're not doing votes this year, by the way. I already said that pre-season.
That's fine.
There's no point.
Can we have a discussion around personnel?
Yeah, we can.
Go
Of course.
if you want.
And the reason why I'm saying
It's an
this is
opinion-based
because-
podcast.
No, the reason why I'm saying is I think there's a few players that potentially should not be playing.
Can we do that when we do the preview for the Dogs? Because maybe we'll do that. As the
Have you got
announcement.
players that
Based
you
on
want in?
performance.
Yeah, let's
Have you got
do-
players that you want in?
There's
this?
a certain player that has to play.
We all know what you're going to say. Let's do that with the
AM.
let's do that with the ins and outs. But
Yeah, I reckon him.
hold on,
Hey,
hold on.
Harry can come
Oh,
back.
whoa. We've got to show her
But
around
there's
here.
another
Let's do
player.
that in the preview with the ins and outs, which is coming up in 5 minutes. Until then, she's back. Saw her on the weekend. She's very
She's
keen
my
for the
sister-in-law.
Libby's last word.
Hello everybody, it's Libby with Libby's Last Words, and this is what I thought about the game. Well, I'm back, and I must say, coming from last week against Richmond, I don't even want to talk about it. But Hawthorne beat us by 20 points, and I have to say I was expecting us to lose. Hawthorne are just an amazing team, and they've just moved the ball around very, very easily and scored too many easy goals. Our defense was okay, but Lewis Young, bro, I swear he was just watching the ball. Like, he just has to be better, like, honestly. But Wiedering did play very well in the defense. But anyways, in our forward line, we need to get more marks, definitely in our inside 50. It was just not happening, and we just missed way too many marks. But I have to say, Silvani did pretty well, and definitely Williams did well as well. Jesse Motlaw, pretty good. But anyways, Charlie Curnow wasn't the best. Like, he had barely any of the ball. Like, half the match, I was like, where is Charlie? Where is he? Like, mate, come on. Anyways, my favourite play of the match was definitely definitely Tom de Koning. Absolute gun. Dominated so well. And de Koning definitely one of my favourite players at the moment. Anyways, Cripps done pretty good. And Sam Walsh and Hewitt, they were dominating as well. But hopefully, versing the Bulldogs next week, I really hope we win. We definitely need a win. I reckon it's going to be a hard game because the Bulldogs are pretty good. But anyways, this is what I thought about the game. Go the Blues!
Good to have her back. I can't believe she's 15.
She's growing.
She was a
before
child when she started doing this for the podcast. It's actually ridiculous.
She loves it.
She does. Once again, if you are still watching and still with us, thank you. Hit that subscribe, hit the like button. And if you're listening on Spotify, 5 stars, hit the follow button and the bell for episode updates. Sponsors again, 309 Jerky, Vortep, St. David Dairy, check them all out. And Mavros Studios as well. Jordan's been good tonight. Nice.
Is that involvement? We'll get his face on one time.
All right, we've got a game against the Dogs on Friday. Got to move on pretty quickly. They're not in super red hot form. I don't think they've been that convincing just
They
yet.
played well against Collingwood.
They were okay.
They did play well.
They were okay.
I mean, they're playing against the umpires as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
33
exactly.
free kicks to 14. They lost by a kick. That's fair, to be fair.
They are another team that move the ball quick.
They can.
They
Especially
do
at
move the
Marvel.
ball
But
quick.
they have a lot of personnel out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to do this memories thing against the Dogs or not? We did it while you were away. You up for it? or not?
Go. I've got no memories. My mind's.
I've got
Memories against the Dogs.
You're going to like this one. But go. You go.
Trying to think. Memories.
We did
Against the Dogs.
memories in the
wins
first year we did the
or whatever.
podcast.
To be honest with you, I don't know. I'm not even. I don't really want to speak about the past. To be honest.
Well done, Jules.
That's actually fair. Yeah, all right.
Like-
I'll cop that. No, it's good. You know what? Moving on. All right. So the Dogs.
What are
that's-
we going to bring up?
That's pretty good, Jules.
What are we going to bring up?
That's
though?
pretty good.
You had a good one.
No, you'll remember it. Remember Daisy's barrel on the run?
Oh.
That was the best. That was the best.
Hey, but see our memory, one kick.
Exactly right.
That's our memory. You're blowing and it's
I'm
one
not blowing.
kick.
I'm just. It's funny. It's
Yeah.
like it's always the only memory I've got of the Dogs that I bring up with him all the time.
How
Because we were
concerning is
sitting
that?
there and we both went, "What the fuck did we just see?" Anyway, that's when we were shit. We're still shit. Friday, Marvel. I think 7:40. Home game again for us.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking? Can we? Is there any belief we're going to do this week?
Oh, we definitely can. It just depends on. It's purely on moments and our efficiency. How efficient we are
Between
with
the ears.
yeah.
Hey, actually, on
Between the
moments,
ears.
just quickly, do you think that maybe a couple of moments might have cost us with momentum a little bit against the Hawks, just slightly?
Well,
TDK,
Like TDK's was early. It was in the first quarter. So it's like
yeah, but we still
the game changed. And
No,
we
no,
lost by
I
20.
understand that
Yeah.
one, but maybe the Motlop one, pubic hair on the fucking goalpost, like
You're-
that's at a point, and also, mind you, they had 19 on the
I
field.
mean, he could have just
All right,
kicked the goal.
That one, that
that would have put us up by 16
agree with that.
when we were coming
They
hard.
had 19 on the field.
They had 19.
Yeah,
we didn't get a free kick. That
Yeah,
free kick would have
what
been in
time
front of
was that?
goal.
They've been warned now how that affects the actual
Jules,
game at
yeah,
that
dude,
point in
it
It
time.
would have been in front of goal.
Yeah,
It was
but-
after Chera kicked his goal.
Yeah.
but
We were
what
10
point of the
points
game?
up in the second quarter.
Yeah, but
Or
second
maybe it
quarter.
was the third. Maybe it was the third.
Anyway, everyone, you're going to get a really optimistic Joe. Still, me and Jules are really pretty
No,
negative.
I'm not.
man.
I'm just
Like,
hey,
even like with
someone's got to
Motlop-
play fuck. No,
even
no, no.
with- even with
You shit
Motlop,
me.
for
no, no,
example.
shut up.
I'm
Just
not,
shut
I'm
no,
not,
no,
I'm
shush.
not optimistic at all
Someone's
this
got
year.
to play devil's advocate on a podcast.
No, you
No.
don't.
No.
You don't need to. See,
You
someone
don't need
needs
to
to do
change your
this.
mindset.
It's not about changing my mindset. I'm just asking a question because there'll be people out there that are watching going, "Oh, why didn't they speak
Can I-
about
can
this?"
I
In the
speak-
car,
two
you don't
just-
play devil's
you two
advocate.
just come in and go, "Of course I don't," but I'm trying to run a show here. I'm trying to cater to the audience.
No one likes the show.
Oh,
I get feedback on the weekend at his christening that I've got to host the show better. I try and do that tonight, and you two aren't happy about it.
We're not.
just let us speak.
I barely spoke tonight. I actually did. The first half of the show, I barely spoke. You had to turn to me and say, "Why didn't you speak tonight?"
Yeah, I thought it was a bit weird.
Exactly. Go. JB in the comments says, "I like the show."
Who's this? Who's this?
JB.
Good man.
Personnel. Can we get into personnel or not?
Just talk about whatever you want with this game. Like, whatever.
No, go.
Personnel.
Like, I just think personally, as you said, we need to clean up
Oh,
We need to clean up the way we use the ball.
Yeah.
Particularly, as we said, like while Livy was doing her talk, particularly moving the ball up the ground. And then once we do, it's getting the right entry or a deep entry or hitting a target inside 50 to actually punish. And then if the ball does spill to ground, say 20 meters from goal, it's actually getting people around the footy.
Because to be honest, that's when we scored a few like that.
Yeah.
Against the Hawks. So Chera's goal, Motlops, that was disallowed, but it was in a similar vein.
JSOS was a
another
big
one.
reason for it because that guy.
Can I just say one thing about Silvani, please? It is the biggest fucking indictment on our forward line, right? That our most potent forward has come off an ACL, hasn't played for 600 and something days prior to that, but also was
great.
But also was training with the defensive group for the entire preseason.
That's what I'm saying. So if you can not train with the forward group and you can slot in
and still
so
impact
easily, so what tactically going on? Do you know what I mean? Like holes, in my opinion.
But hold on, you say tactically, he's still impacting. So what are the rest of them doing? They've been training together, man. What are you doing? It's your job. It's your job.
I feel like as if there is a disconnect between midfield and forward line, though. I actually don't like defensive half of the ground. Yeah, we probably don't move the ball as well.
But you can see
it's better than
they're united,
forward of center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like our forward half, the way we move the ball is deplorable. But yeah, I think personnel is the big one for me.
I want to hear this.
What do you think?
No, I want to hear what you've got because you've got a few names. I think Ashton Moy's got to come in.
I think we do need a bit of X factor in our forward 50, especially if Charlie Curno's not going to provide it. I think he's underdone. I'd like to know percentage time on grounds. I don't think it'll be any more than 60%. And he's a forward, key forward. So he should be up there around the 90.
Well, everyone gave him the out of that. He didn't look right. Don't play him.
Yeah.
No,
if you're going to play, sorry,
we were told that he was right.
Well, in training, we were.
Yeah. So clearly he's good to go. It's
but I'm saying
just match fitness. I was talking to Jules about this yesterday. Do you play him in the VFL to get match fitness under him? No. You just got to play.
But not like that.
No.
You can't play. Yeah. You can't play like that.
He spent 108 out of 130 minutes on the ground.
No way.
Yep. Time of ground.
That just goes. It actually even benefits me even more in terms of my thinking because what was he doing out there?
Yeah. So clearly he's good enough to play 80% of the game.
Correct.
Right. So clearly he's fit.
That's right. So you can't give the out.
I just don't know.
Makes it even worse.
So
you can't give him the out of being
Charlie and speaking about your dad because we spoke about this last year on the podcast a couple of times. Your dad's been critical of Charlie for a long time, right? And I've always said to your dad, while he's kicking goals, it's fine. He can paper over the cracks with his goal kicking in terms of his lack of defensive application and what we've seen from Charlie in that regard. If you're not kicking goals, what are you doing? Because that's what we will get every week if you can't hit the scoreboard. Simple. So either you've got to apply yourself better defensively or you got to get your goal kicking boots back on. You got to kick 3 or 4 every week to paper over it. True?
Yeah. And another thing too is I just don't know if we can go that tall in our defense. I just think it's way too tall and we don't need it. And I think if we did go shorter, I think it'd help us to move the ball. And that's why I reckon Jordan Boyd needs to come straight back in.
Agree. Apparently he had a good game in the Rezzies as well.
I got a question for you both. Came in close. Ollie Hollands.
Been good.
Do you think we need to move him higher up the ground? And a Boyd can come in? Because personally for me, I see what you guys see in him playing that role. I just don't think he's delivering in the way that you probably want him to. I just think that what we get out of him in a wing, and I don't think Campo's actually, I think Campo was stiff to get subbed, to be honest. I thought he's actually quite good. But I think Ollie Hollands is a lot suited to that wing position, and we can get a Boyd or someone else to fill into that role to play pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
I don't think he's offering anything more than a Jordan Boyd if he sat in there. I really don't.
I think getting rid of a Young and putting a Boyd in, for example, and I think young. I think he early some of his contested work in terms of like his one-on-one contest
I didn't think he was that bad.
Wasn't that
He
bad.
wasn't bad.
No, it
There
wasn't
were a
that, it
couple of
wasn't that-
moments. There were a
yeah,
couple of
early,
moments,
but after that, it actually wasn't that bad. He actually did not too bad.
In the fourth, he
But-
did cost us in a couple
Yeah,
moments.
but who didn't in the fourth?
No,
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying defensively.
But I think if there's anyone that's going to come out, it's probably him. Boyd will come in.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
an easy
and-
decision, Jules.
And yeah, correct.
That's an easy decision
But
to
who-
drop Young.
yeah, but who else is going to come out
Well,
from the back 6 or 7?
okay, from
Like,
there.
yeah, no one.
No, I'm saying if you move a few more
I
magnets
also-
to
there's
get
actually-
Ollie up the ground.
I think Ollie needs a mate in the heart, like in defense.
I
I think Sard needs to get going, and I know you allude to this a lot, Joe, in terms of
He's got to run.
he's got to be a bit more
Sort of what it
offensive
was.
as well.
Yeah, but when he runs like that, his distribution shit.
No, well, it was pretty good on Thursday. He was a lot better.
What the one assist to Zach Williams that everyone's frothing?
No, there were a couple of times. He had two
he
or three.
dump kicked the ball half the time,
No,
Joe.
he had two. He had two or three.
But when not when
But
he gets on the
regardless
move.
of that, yeah, correct. And
Not when he gets
regardless
onto
of
the
that,
move.
even his worst kick will still gain us a lot.
Yeah,
more
I
territory.
understand from a
He
territory
becomes,
perspective.
he becomes a 40-meter player to a 100-meter player.
Yeah,
Just
but
by being
he's
able
the
to
guy
run.
that kicks the ball
Do you know-
in that area that we're not liking it in the forward
the thing
50
is,
because
though,
he's bypassing players for a woof.
With Sard, with Sard and those players, I don't want to see them run 10, 15 meters with the ball, bounce it, run another 10,
take too
15 meters and
much.
then bounce it. No, I want to see him get it, kick the ball 20, and then someone else
like
come
Blakey, like what Blakey does.
yeah, and get someone else get
Yeah,
underneath
just on
him,
Ollie-
handball, receive, and go again.
Just on
There needs to be
Ol-
more chains.
I understand. All
Just-
I'm saying is at the moment, his distribution a lot of the time is in that area, say 10 meters from the 50 arc, where if we lose that or we don't gain possession, they transition that quickly on us. It's a joke.
Just
that
on-
area is danger.
Just on Ollie this year, I disagree. with
Oh,
that.
yeah, you can do that. That's
Because
fine.
I actually think he is providing a lot defensively in the back half with his ability to get to contests as like a second man to spoil. Seen it multiple times now, like on the last line of defense.
Yeah, but you
He
got
did it
Nick
as a
Hay-
winger.
Yeah, I know he did it as
He
a
did it
winger.
as a
I know,
winger.
but however, I know he did it as a winger. However, what it will allow, I believe, going forward is if
We
he's-
don't need that. We got Haynes, Gov, and what's her name to come as a second
if
man.
Ollie is there doing that as the second man, it frees the others just pure intercept off the ball
I think for
and
Ollie,
zone off. It's what they play. They're playing zones, right? So if you've got a man that's like almost acting like a sweeper across those contests, they can all stay in their zone and structure.
I think for Ollie Hollands, and you look at it, for
Yes
a lot
or
of
no?
a lot of players in the competition,
I don't have to agree or disagree.
a lot of players in the competition when they do come in. Sorry.
So he's done well. Dylan Moore, it was Ollie's direct opponent. He's
Yeah,
kept it
it
on.
is, but it's not.
So
Can't do that. Go away, Jordan.
for me, yeah. Like I just think with Ollie Hollands, I just think for him it's a big learning curve. And what I mean by that is being behind the footy, he's able to see more things. And for his development, it's going to
Better.
hold him in better stead. You have a look. I know they're different players. These players have high caliber, but you have a look at the likes of North Melbourne, Sheasel, obviously,
McKercher.
Nick Dacos.
It's what we should have
and
done
Collingwood.
with these.
Well, so
young
no,
guys.
he should,
Yeah.
if
So
you're
if
going
they're
to do that,
behind
though,
the
you should
ball,
have
they're
done
able
it 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
but we didn't.
Yeah.
You know what? I'd still rather do it now when the kid's 20.
I
You know,
understand.
even I know we spoke about it with like Jager, like he probably could have been the one to do that. You know what I mean? And then go into the midfield in patches.
All right, so we're saying Moya and Boyd. They're the two we want to see.
I
come
think
in.
Moya has to come in with a bit of X factor.
Right, so
Definitely.
you bring those two in, who goes out? It's Lewis Young for Boyd.
Yeah.
You would expect. Harry's going to come back in. So that's a third. He will come back in if he's fit.
Doc comes out.
Yeah,
me.
I actually
For me,
agree with
Doc
Jules.
comes out.
Yeah,
I spoke about this on fan cams.
I do agree with you,
I don't want
Jules.
to put Doc under the bus, right? But at the same time, we need to get out of this habit as a club and as supporters of glorifying our heart and soul players for too long. Does that make sense?
And I also think
I just think honestly, I don't want to say it too early because he's a player that will.
I know
come
you're
back
saying
and
it
bite
hurts
me
you
in
to
the arse.
say.
It
Yeah,
no,
hurts
no,
me
I
to
think
say,
he's still
but-
got something.
Yeah, but
It's
I think the game is also starting to go past him a bit.
maybe
Just from what we've seen.
maybe.
Well,
And
And
naturally-
maybe he just needs to match fitness. I don't know, but he hasn't looked. He hasn't
And
looked any bit the
another-
player that we can be.
another player as well. If we're going to go with the 3 keys of Haynes, Wiedering, and McGovern in defence, you can't go with Harry, Savani, Charlie, and Kemp.
No,
So
so I think Kemp comes out.
I think Kemp comes out
Yeah.
as well.
And I'd just prefer to see Kemp back there instead of Haynes at this point. Just go back to what we were doing last year. Kemp's a better defender than he's a forward. Simple.
Yeah, but
He offers
I
more.
don't see Kemp playing
Playing in that back seat. Yeah.
this week.
So we're saying Kemp out, Young out.
Well, Kemp for Moyer.
Yep.
No, what about Harry?
Yeah. So hold on.
Harry for Young?
Harry
No, for-
comes. Hold on. Harry comes in for Lord, and I think Doc becomes a sub.
That could, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got Moyer that comes in for Kemp.
I actually don't think you have Doc as a sub.
I actually prefer Cooper Lord as a sub.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I
so
don't
drop
think
a
you can
Doc
have.
I
I think
think so, yeah.
Right, so
I
you've
don't think you
got
can have Doc as a sub. I really don't.
Doc. I don't think that's going to happen. However, I think
don't think you can have him.
I think it's what
Yeah.
should happen. I think what we'll actually see. I think what we're actually going to see is Sauce playing defense. You're going to see Kemp up forward with Charlie and Harry. I genuinely think that. And the reason I say that, think about it. Harry went out late. We brought in Lewis Young to play in the back line because Sauce went forward. They've got this idea that they want to play the four talls together. It's true. Yeah.
I just don't
And they want three tall forwards. That's what they want. So I
it
think
works.
that's actually what we're going to see.
Who's Western Bulldogs got in terms of tools? Darcy
Sent Darcy.
Darcy,
And-
Norton.
Norton.
and Norton. So
Yeah,
they've got-
Darcy and Norton.
About
Two
it at the moment.
talls.
Yeah.
so Wiedering will go to one.
They could throw Lob there, but
Haynes will go to
they
the
won't.
other.
They won't.
They won't.
No, Love will go in defense.
Anyway, we'll
He'll
see.
play four tools.
No.
We'll
It's
see.
too much.
Yeah.
McGovern's a hybrid. Like he can play. on
No,
both.
yeah, yeah.
But you can't have
Predictions-
another one.
Predictions for Friday, please. Let's wrap this up because they're doing my head in. I've got a headache. Predictions for Friday.
Off my negativity, I will be saying, I'm going against my negativity. I'll say that we'll win by 16 points.
I think we win by 3
Points.
3 points?
Yeah.
Don't do it, Jules.
Well, I don't
think-
see us winning convincingly.
No,
think we
but if
have
you
to
saying
win.
3 goals is convincing,
Can I ask a question?
No.
We're saying we sit here and say we have to win this, right? Do you think they realize that they have to win this game?
Oh,
Well,
but that's the
well,
thing I've been.
technically
That's
they
what I
don't
doubt now.
have
No,
to
no,
win
no,
it,
no, no, no,
but-
no.
But that's what
Because I
doubt
think if
now.
they don't,
I doubt that now.
if they're taking it week by week, I don't think they realize the ramifications of losing this year. 0-3, and you're going up against Collingwood, who have got the wood over us. I don't
Can't
give a
you
shit
put-
what anyone says.
As-
That's 4, man. That is
When
0-4.
you, so for me, this is just how I think. And this is an analogy that you'll understand completely.
Okay.
Yeah. And you probably
I
understand
love
with your
when Jules
ankle.
does this.
Okay. With your ankle. Yeah. No,
He's
and
getting
this is what I'm
scans. Hey, do
saying.
you know he's getting scans during the week?
So you can go balding.
Yeah, that's.
So
I've
listen.
been doing that anyway.
Now, listen though. In regard to my analogy, when you have someone that's injured, yeah, you think, all right, I need to get them to here, no,
Mhm.
and I need to do these
To get them
things
to that
them.
stage, yeah.
So you're looking ahead. At the beginning of the season, if you want to make top 4, I'm thinking I need 16 wins.
That's right.
So you have to look ahead.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
You do.
You got to look at it in blocks, yeah. You gotta look at the season
No,
in
you
blocks.
have
For
to
example,
look. You have to look at what your end goal
the
is.
fitness staff,
Yeah,
the fitness staff,
he's right.
They're going to be like, all right, at the start of the season, I don't want to peak now. I want to start peaking 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever it may be, leading up to finals. So then I'm peaking and I'm coming
Yeah,
in
great.
From
fresh.
the
Agree.
start of
I agree with that.
pre-season,
You're
you should be
thinking
road
that.
mapping that.
No, I agree with that.
Don't say you're not, because you have to be. It's impossible not to.
Mm.
It makes me sick.
I actually agree with him.
All right. Well, on that note,
Keep calm. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10.
Not happy, Jen!
so first one for the year from Dan.
I'm back.
And he's told me he's got about 10 lined up that he's just going to filter through in the next 10
I've got
weeks
6 weeks of
since
content.
he's been away. So off you go.
All right. So
This one's pretty bad. I can't even. I can't
like, is
even.
it bad for me?
Yeah. Usually me and Jules come in at this point and go, nah, Bill, I think that's on you. I don't think this one's
No,
on
this
you."
one's good.
This one's not on you.
I actually wasn't happy, but I also had a fever of 41. So obviously when I was in hospital, they were trying to work out what this thing was. So I mentioned like blood tests and that. They got this thing called a lumbar puncture. So it's where you get the fluid. Have you done it, Jordan? Yeah, so see, he's cringing. Wait, listen to this, mate. You're gonna have you vomiting. So we're there and he goes, all right, we're going to do a lumbar puncture. And I should have, anyway, the guy asked the guy, because it's getting the fluid out of your spine to understand if there's bacteria there for all this meningitis and whatever. The doctor's setting up and he goes, mate, lie on your side, whatever. I go, have you done this before?
It's first time.
No, he goes, yeah, but like a little bit of like trepidation. And I didn't register. I was just like, whatever. I go, you confident? He goes, oh, not the first person that choose.
Not the first person. I'm not the first person they'd call.
And I'm thinking, but me and Lauren were like, all right, but we just wanted to get it done because I was obviously, guy starts putting the anesthetic and you got to lie sort of side on like this. And he's there and he gets in like the middle of your back.
No one heard that.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm lying there, puts the anesthetic. He gets the needle and he goes, can you feel that? I go, yes. He goes, oh, okay, I'll chuck a bit more anesthetic in there. And then it was numb, obviously. He goes, all right, mate, we're going to get started. Starts like plotting.
And you shouldn't feel it.
I didn't feel any, like I'm not meant to feel anything.
Yep.
Zero. I then feel this massive, like sharp pain down my quad and down my left leg. And I go, like I start going, like I can feel that. And he goes, oh, what? The bloke hit bone. The bloke missed, hit the nerve, hit bone. Now my toe, this toe.
Is it still numb?
Numb.
Still.
And in this quad, I get tingling in the quad. Oh. The bloke missed. He goes, oh, better take that needle out. What? The next day, listen to this. Next day, under CT scan, like the quickest procedure you've ever seen. Why didn't they do that first time? Now I got numb toe. What do I do with that?
The second time you didn't feel
it's like Mr. D. Do you know Mr. D? His foot's numb and he just kicks things?
They stopped the procedure there.
No, that.
And then the next day,
he goes, oh, you're not meant to be feeling anything.
The next day you had one done.
Yeah.
And you didn't feel a thing.
But Joe, the recovery,
right?
the recovery from this thing is.
Are you going to release the hospital? Like you're going to mention?
No, I can't.
Reveal?
Northern. There's a Northern hospital.
The worst part was the recovery for it is because it's like obviously got to do with the spine and whatever. You got to lie back completely flat for 5 hours.
Oh, true. That's true.
And I was already sweating bullets, then cold, then migraine, then fever, and I've got to lie there for 5 minutes. She goes, oh, because you can't get up too fast because you'll get a migraine. I'm thinking, I've already got one.
Michael Cherivolo says bone has no nerve endings. They've clearly hit a nerve, Dan.
Yeah, but he hit the nerve and then he hit bone. Don't tell me, Michael.
Marty says, might need anesthetic for the whole season so I can be numb all over the body. That's fair enough. Yeah, no, you've got more where that's come from, apparently.
I got a whole list there.
Yeah, he's been bored shitless sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. So
the feel about Lauren here.
Oh, no. All right, on that note, we'll see you next week.
Calm the blues.
Yeah, hopefully. Up to Vegas.